Tuesday, and you're bound to have it as amazing as possible. Later on at around 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. we have a very interesting conversation. Now that children mko nyumbani, and as parents, your children are at home, what is their role when it comes to the conservation of environment around them? President tells us that we need to plant billions of trees out here. 15 billion trees. So what is the role of children? We'll be getting on that. CEO Wildlife Direct Paula Kahumbu has sent her apologies, but then we'll be having Shana, Marita and Lucas and Misha as well for that conversation. But then to the headlines.
Yes, Kenya pays 40 billion, a big discussion point there on the front page of the Daily Nation.
On People Daily, again, matters Azimio. Azimio turns to Tower of Babel.
Yes.
If you know the story of Tower of Babel, unaelewa hii play of words here.
The People Daily also have that story about Jimi Wanjigi and his arrest. He spent the night in police custody. Yes.
At Kamukunji.
Is to be presented in court this morning.
Yes. On Business Daily, tax chaos as bank fees rise. State defies fuel price cut.
Yes.
We were mentioning this, I think. Oh, yes. And I'll also be telling you about the Finance Act 2023 and a ruling that is supposed to be made today as well. Kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo,
ODM yaonya Kalonzo. Kumeharibika kule Azimio.
Magazeti mengi leo.
Ndio habari kuu pale.
Aya.
Kalonzo 2027 poll plan, big plot to revive Gema, and a very interesting photo of two people who served as number 2 in this country, Rigathi Gachagua and former VP Kalonzo Musyoka, on the front page of the Star.
And actually, seeing the side to side is interesting.
Possible ticket come 2027. Hey. And today being a Tuesday, the Star, of course, has the Pull Out My Gov. And the paper today is a free copy. So very interesting analysis on Kalonzo's 2027 poll plans. You can read the Star for yourself. Across the border in Uganda, matters politics heating up. FDC sees blues in plot to dissolve party. One Uganda, different interests. The party headquarters in Najanakumbi argues that the Katonga faction, which runs no rule over the secretariat, lacks locus to dissolve the party and questions the authenticity of the delegates and the legitimacy of yesterday's National Delegates Conference. And you know why I'm laughing? It's because this is exactly what's happening in Kenya.
Kenya, yeah.
Azimio. They're wrangling within political parties and who is in control. That's a different faction. Who is the leader of this coalition? ODM on one hand says, sisi ndio tuko. Hata kama tuko kwa serikali, bado hata kwa upande ingine ni sisi tu.
And it's always rare to see politics on the front page of Uganda's, and mostly Daily Monitor. So today's one of those, it's a first, once in a blue moon, really. And
they've given there a chronology of events. They say in 2001, Besigye ran on reform agenda ticket. In 2005 to 2012, his final party president. 2012 to 2017, someone else, General Mugisha Muntu, had succeeded Besigye. 27 to date, Patrick Obal Amurat replaced Muntu as party president in 2017. This was a party that Kizza Besigye used to run for president. Now there are wrangles in there. Which splinter could realign 2026 political landscape and which way for Katonga bloc as touch
Acholi drug fit.
So matters politics in Uganda.
Let's see, still in Uganda on the front page of the New Vision, they say UNRA must go, says Museveni. President MPs failed to agree on merger of coffee agency. Again, some similar headlines that used to happen some weeks and some months ago on matters coffee reform here in Kenya.
Yes. They've dedicated a huge part of the front page to the images of the new regional district commissioners. Districts get new RCCs deputies, so there are images there. If at all you know some of the districts in Uganda, unaweza jua nani ndio RDC wenyu ama RCC. But the politics of the day is on the top strip of this paper, the New Vision. Is this the end of FDC, the biggest political opposition political party in Uganda? But with the wrangling in there, just like Kenya's Azimio, well, it makes for big discussions, and it's there on the front page of the New Vision. Tuvuke border tuingie kule Bongo.
just as at least 4 gang rape case suspects appear in court. They continue this conversation. It happened, I think, early last week. A glimmer of hope has emerged as 4 suspects involved in the gang rape of a young woman from Yombo Dovia, Dar es Salaam, made their court appearance yesterday. This is one of those conversations that is very, very touchy when you go to Tanzania.
Yes, at least they were presented in court yesterday, and this case continues. Some of them are even police officers or officers from some disciplined forces. And it's big discussion in Tanzania.
Something
the rest
else?
of the page, yes, matters transport infrastructure. Bus owners devise a new strategy to boost business amid SGR impacts.
It's interesting because I think late last week they were complaining and saying, hey, hii biashara hii itakuja kutupiga out. Sasa hii wameona we have to find very creative ways.
Even in Kenya, truck drivers had really complained about their transit business, but they had to change. They still have business. I still see those trucks on the roads.
You always have to be innovative in business.
Kwenye gazeti la Mwananchi, walivyotinga kizimbani wasomewa mashtaka mawili ya kubaka kwa kundi na kulawiti. That's a gang rape and sodomy. Wamo mawili ambao ni askari, wawili wao ni askari wa magereza. Kauli kuhusu binti kujiuza ya mng'oa RPC mali ya Dodoma, na wananchi wahoji alipo afande. Unasikia hapa kuna jamaa anaitwa Theopista Maltia. Ameondolewa kuwa kamanda wa polisi mkoa wa Dodoma na kupelekwa makao makuu. Kamanda huyo alihamishwa Dodoma akitokea mkoa wa Songwe. Amehusishwa na kitendo hichi. Wanauliza wanne waliotumwa na afande. Kuna afande alikuwa ametuma watu. Hii kesi is very interesting.
Yes, it's very deep. Those are the dailies. For you, we'll be back to take a look at the Kenyan dailies, more in depth. Right now, though, traffic inakaa ni kama a Tuesday traffic starting to build up.
Kwa nasema ile Monday ni kazi.
Tuesday bado ni kazi.
Ni kazi siku hizi. Tuesday pia ni kazi. Hiyo maneno mengine iliisha. So I don't know why, but
no. Next week. Now the fact that you brought that up, just a reminder. You've probably seen some flyers going around on social media, even as ukitutafutia traffic. On the 27th of August, the Gen Z have planned another demonstration. So be wary of that.
Okay.
Yes.
And as far as transport is concerned, traffic slowly building up along Jogoo Road. Nothing to report at this hour. Usual trouble spots building up slowly. Bado ijashika vizuri. No red on Jogoo Road so far. Pale Marikiti along Haile Selassie Avenue, it's also building up. Quite busy at this time as matatus pick and drop off passengers as well as other vehicles dropping off groceries at Marikiti. Pangani interchange, nothing happening at this time. It's very green, which is interesting because it's already 11 minutes past the hour. So nothing happening there. Mombasa Road looking good. A bit of a slowdown there at the entry of the expressway after the Embakasi Mombasa Road interchange at Cabanas. That's the only bit I can see. The rest of the way is green all the way into town. Langata Road 2, nothing to report, green. Mbagathi Way as well. Ngong Road, watu wako wapi leo?
Yeah. I'm Kenny by the
way. Even Wayaki Way is looking good. Past Nairobi School, ABC Place into town. Everything is new this morning. And okay, a bit of a slowdown here on Muranga Road just before you get to Globe Cinema roundabout. This is to be expected. A lot of matatus do park there as they bring people into town. So traffic situation, yes, you can see now it's starting to build up at Pangani interchange. Kidogo tu. No more traffic this morning.
Oh yes, guys are watching us right now, taking the breakfast.
Sai, if you are planning to head into town, this is the best time.
This is the best time. So, ukimaliza breakfast, anza kutoka. And even as you plan to leave, this is what you're going to be anticipating. Now, not only even for today, but then for the entire week. So every single Tuesday, the Kenya Meteorological Department gives us a forecast for the whole week. So first off, what you need to know for this coming week is intermittent cold and cloudy conditions expected in parts of the highlands, Rift Valley, southeastern lowlands, and Rift Valley. They're telling you, kindly stay warm. Also, in case you're wondering how the rainfall will be, let's just tap on this and see some parts of the country that are going to be receiving above average rainfall. And we're keen on let's pick above 20 to around 70 millimeters and plus. And those regions that have those particular colors, the light blue-ish there. So parts of Laikipia, Nakuru doesn't, Nairobi doesn't have that. Nairobi might be receiving between 20 to 50, the northern part of Nairobi, Kiambu as well, but then most parts of, some parts of Nairobi as well as Kiambu receiving less than a millimeter. Other parts of Samburu, Baringo as well, going to be receiving more than above average rainfall as well. That is how the weather is looking like, and is going to be looking like all the way until the 26th of August. So plan yourself as early as at now. Speaking of what to expect, let's take a look at a news diary, something that was happening yesterday and is also going to be happening today. The KAWIRA Mwangaza impeachment, that is Meru Governor. It is going to be the second day, and so what we're going to be seeing today, evidenced by the governor, witnesses, if any, and cross-examination and re-examination will be taking place early in the morning. This will be followed by questions and requests for clarification by the senators who are in the House. Both the County Assembly and the governor will have an hour each for their closing statements, and thereafter the members will vote on either serving or removing her from office. Remember, they are going the plenary way, the whole house kind of style. So something interesting. Today's process might take, remember for last year, but one went maybe into the wee hours of the night. So chances are this process might also go to that particular time as well. Something else that you'd mentioned on the next page, businessman Jimi Wanjigi will be prosecuted today and just appearing before the courts. So this follows his detainment at Kamukunji police station overnight over claims of illegal possession of firearms. We'll be following that for you. Something else I also mentioned earlier, the Supreme Court of Kenya will this morning deliver a ruling via email on the consolidated petitions between the National Treasury and others versus Okiya Mtata and 52 others about the nullification of the Finance Act of 2023. So we'll also be following up on that and the implication of whatever the Supreme Court will be saying on this matter. That is a nutshell of what to expect in our news bulletins. Right now, though, today in history.
On the 20th of August 2021, a 7-judge bench from Kenya's Court of Appeal upheld the High Court's ruling that the Building Bridges Initiative BBI process was unconstitutional. Court of Appeal President Daniel Musinga noted that then President Uhuru Kenyatta does not have authority under the Constitution to initiate changes to the Constitution.
All right, let's take a look at the dailies. And you know, we often just look at the front page and sometimes miss some of the very interesting stories. There's a very interesting one on page 8 of the Standard. It's a very short paragraph. Many people may miss it. But it's titled, Wetangula sued over dog meal. A businessman has sued Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, for allegedly defaulting in payment of dog supply. Bethwell Soccer has also taken Wetangula to court for non-payment of dog training services he rendered to his dogs. In court documents filed at Milimani Small Claims Court, Soccer is seeking 248,100 shillings from the speaker. Mbwa inakuja inafunzwa adabu, anafaa kulipa. But anyway, iko kotini. That's one of the stories. But the big headline on the front page, back to the front page, Kenya pays 40 billion shillings extra in pipeline construction deal. So Kenya Pipeline was supposed to replace its old line to Mombasa and granted tender to a Lebanese company at a cost of 48 billion shillings. The amount to be raised by 6 banks. However, documents indicate 2 other banks stand to gain more than 40 billion in an opaque process. You can read this story on page 4. Of course, the other big story given prominence on the front page has to do with Azimio politics. End of Azimio. at the bottom there, near as partners fight it out. Azimio coalition could be on its deathbed after a council meeting was skipped, with ODM reading from a different script from the rest of the alliance. Yes, so the meeting was to be at 4 p.m. yesterday, chaired by the chairperson of the Azimio coalition, retired President Uhuru Kenyatta, via Zoom link because he's not in the country. But then, hours before that meeting, ODM came out and said, msilete mchezo, sisi ndio kusema hapa.
Msilete kompe.
Hatutaki kusikia hiyo maneno. So what does it mean for the rest of the Azimio affiliates? We'll be discussing that during the State of the Nation later on.
I believe the gentleman pictured there, Eugene Omalo, had a sit down yesterday with George Maringa. Yes, so you can also check that out.
Matters Health government to procure 2 million Mpox vaccines. Now we're back to vaccines again. Remember the COVID vaccines?
Oh, yes. It was a
now, Health Cabinet Secretary Deborah Barasa says the vaccines that will be in the country by end of year will be allocated to high-risk individuals. So, yes, still not a demand that everyone be vaccinated, high risk.
High risk.
But 2 million vaccines points to something. Of course, a mention of what's happening in the Senate. Probe MCAs are liars, Mwangaza tells Senate. And finally, lawmakers meet over varsity funding model. And this is another big discussion.
Yeah.
The university funding model that has caused a lot of hue and cry and public uproar, because many people have qualified for universities, then they're classified among the less needy and they cannot afford that university going forward, despite having performed very well. Union to teachers stay away from schools next week. Yes, schools reopen next week, but KUPPET and KNUT have told their members, ngojeni kiasi.
Though I believe they're set to have some meetings this week, and President William Ruto is also going to be part of those meetings this week. Until then.
Strike notice stands. Obama to address Democrats. Finally, this is going to be interesting. It will be interesting to see what he tells the Democrats as they prepare for elections. KQ posts 530 million shilling mega profit. Wow, finally. KQ profits. That's on page 18 of the Standard in the business pages.
It's been a minute since we saw good news coming out of the airport.
And then age cheating scam that is here to stay. That is a story in the sports pages. Ni kama mimi niende nikisema mimi ni Gen Z.
Nakwambia.
Sikai Gen Z?
Labda so unyoe tusione nywele white.
Sawa tu. Anyway, in the sports pages, Chelsea left feeling blue as title race begins. They lost 2-0 to Man City at the weekend. That's the Standard this morning.
Let's take a look at another daily on the front page of Daily Nation. The big headline, matters politics. Raila snubs Uhuru talks. What you're talking about, they say ODM cautions those plotting coup against Odinga to prepare for the consequences. An Azimio Moja One Kenya Coalition Party meeting that was to be chaired by former President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday aborted after ODM, whose top officials have joined the reconstituted Ruto cabinet, boycotted it. The talks were scheduled to begin at 4 p.m., but instead ODM members convened a press conference at 1 p.m. at which they strongly warned against any attempt to topple the Azimio leader. And then another big conversation, University for the Rich, that is extensive on the back page. I believe that's actually the only story on the back page, apart from matter sports. But before that, something that other dailies haven't taken a look at on the right scroll. Pale chini, they say Kenyan police in Haiti want more firepower. Sources say the Kenyan forces under the United Nations-backed mission have a challenge with equipment as they battle armed gangs in Haiti. That is on page 12. And then for another big conversation for today, KAWIRA hopes winning streak will continue as trial starts. Accusations include alleged hiring of 111 personal staff in her office, irregular payments of 74.3 million cash shillings in allowances to medics. Remember, this morning, the governor will be showcasing her evidence as well. Yesterday, the county assembly showcased their evidence, so we wait to see what evidence the governor will be showcasing. That is Daily Nation in a nutshell. To People Daily,
On the front page of the People Daily, Azimio turns to Tower of Babel, still matters opposition politics. Speaking in tongues, they say, while Kalonzo Brigade maintains ODM is not in opposition, Raila allies say they can have their cake and eat it. And I like the fact that the People Daily just tells it as it is. Hakuna kuficha ficha. They're having their cake and eating it. Yeah. One foot in the majority side, one foot in the minority side. Wanataka Azimio coalition na bado wako kwenye serikali na wanasema hakuna mutadu. By the way, that's simply what they're saying.
Na bado ile conversation ya principal secretaries bado haijaisha.
They'll get more. Yeah. Anyway. Still on the front page of the People Daily, making mention of Jimi Wanjigi's wars. He was arrested yesterday and he spent the night in police custody. He's expected to be arraigned this morning.
It was a whole drama yesterday. And conceiving the children just behind there, casually just watching the father being arrested.
Family has really stood by him,
yes.
Even accompanying him to the police station during arrest. KAWIRA's cardinal sins in Senate trial that continues. CS Barasa, 20 Mpox patients mingling freely with Wananchi. And this should cause quite some panic that at least 20 Mpox patients, which is something that is highly infectious, mingling freely with Wananchi, that could lead to more infections. So be careful. That's the People Daily.
From PD to BD, that's Business Daily. Tax chaos as bank fees rise and state defies full price cut. In context, they say banks have increased excess duty on money transfer charges to 20% in line with the Court of Appeal's nullification of the Finance Act of 2023, highlighting the compliance chaos as the government continues to ignore orders calling for lower taxes on fuel and salaries as it was ordered by the same court. On the bottom, something that you're smiling about, they say how Treasury helped Kenya Airways to fast profit in 11 years. Other headlines on the right scroll, on the ticker, matters economy, pending bills rise by 29 billion Kenyan shillings as payment reforms drag. And something else that you'd need to know as well, Nairobi hospital owners bid to eject board halted. So apparently, the Nairobi hospital bid has secured a court order stopping owners of the health facility from circulating a notice calling for the removal from office. Interesting. Maswala ya kahawa. Coffee farmers in Kenya are caught in a race against time to get a certification that will caution them from a new European Union law banning the sale of goods linked to deforestation. Now, this is going to be one very interesting thing as it unfolds, because coffee is one of the largest exporters even for Kenya. What impact will this have on the outside market? That in a nutshell is Business Daily kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo.
ODM yaonya Kalonzo masuala ya siasa ya Azimio. Chama cha chungwa chasema juhudi zozote za kumng'oa Raila uongozini Azimio hazitafaulu kamwe. Mkwaruzano, ile gazeti wanasema hivyo. Hii ni baada ya Musyoka kudai kuwa Uhuru ameitisha kikao cha Azimio kufanya mabadiliko baada ya ODM kuanza kushirikiana na serikali. Lakini swali ni je, kama imekuwa ngumu, ni nini mnang'ang'ana?
Si utoke.
Anyway. Songe mbele, vidokezo zaidi pale chini kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo. Hali si shwari tena kwa Mwangaza. Seneti yaita mashahidi watatu wapya katika harakati ya kumtimua au kumnusuru. Kwingineko, mbolea feki ya nyima kaunti kitita. Shirika la Sweden lakatiza ufadhili wa bilioni nusu kutokana na sakata ya mbolea. Kuna habari hapa kwenye afya jamii. Matiti wanaume pia si salama. Wataalamu wahimiza kuchunguzwa ili kuzuia saratani. Tupande pale juu tuangazie masuala ambayo si ya Kenya. Democrats waidhinisha nia ya Harris kwa pande moja, na kwenye spoti baada ya kulima Chelsea, City yajipiga kifua. Pep Guardiola asema vijana wake walicheza kama mabingwa na kufinya Blues kwa Stamford. Hiyo ni kweli, hawajadanganya, walifinya watu.
On the front page of the Star matters politics. Kalonzo 2027 poll plan. They say that it is a big plot to revive Kema, which has been happening for both gentlemen. He's advocating inclusion of Kamba in the populous Kikuyu, Embu and Meru block. He began this advocation some while ago. I think even late last year. And the Deputy President seems to be included in this whole mix. They say speculation rife. He could team up with Rigathi to challenge Ruto in 2027. Interesting dynamics. And
the colors they've chosen for the outfits are very interesting also.
Palechini, pain of intersex, agony of surgery after surgery. Ooh, okay. And something else that is also on the front page of the Star, 20 years for man who knifed mother to death, murder's crime, and Kwingineko, blowing hot and cold, also might be linked to this as well. Deputy President Rigathi's survival strategy on page 6. So you have the survival strategy for Kalonzo Musyoka and then survival strategy for Rigathi.
That's the Star newspaper today, and going forward you'll realize that we'll be working very closely with the Star newspaper. I'll be telling you more about that in the coming days, yes, we'll be getting some of the editors from the Star to come and explain to us why some of these days they have some very interesting headlines.
I know.
And
why sometimes they do not focus with other...
Yes.
They don't go with the wave with other dailies.
We'll have them right here in studio to Olize. Kuna nini?
Tutafuta ule cartoonist to the Star here.
The Star. By the way, we should get him one of these days. All right. Speaking of cartoons, let's now check out the cartoons this morning, and we start off with the People Daily.
Stanu's take, it goes with it's a ship or the canoe, and Meru Governor KAWIRA Mwangaza is in there, and with her, kama kawaida, is a guitar.
Yes, and MV Meru County,
yes,
in troubled waters.
But then she says, no, yet she's not worried. She's Jesus will calm the storm again.
Will it happen?
Oh, yes.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. The Senate sits for a second day.
It has a biblical kind of a touch.
This is a standard.
Yes.
It talks about what's happening in Azimio, and they've given this DAP-K leader some blue dress, unfortunately.
Hey.
Well, he's seated there with a marriage counseling and family therapists. And he says, our leader has been cheating on us. Shouldn't he leave the union? And then the commentator anamwambia, tell her to simply walk out of that relationship. Question, if you're really uncomfortable, mbona mnang'ang'ana kukaa huko ndani?
Relationship Wednesday.
That is the crux of the matter. Why are they insisting on staying?
Oh, yes.
That's the Daily Nation now.
And this is that was the standard Daily Nation now. This is the caricature of John Buddy. He's finally made it to a caricature. So the first slides, him back in 2022 during the vetting of the first batch of cabinet secretaries for the president. And he was saying then, President Ruto's CS nominees are unsuitable. And then he went on to say that, let him have his skunk if he so wishes. 2 years later, he's up kwa graveyard, and he says, wearing a skunk uniform, as his skunk, I suggest we exhume the finance bill.
Oh, yes. Now, this is another big discussion, the fact that we could see the Finance Bill 2024 or some aspects of it make a return. And that is set to create quite some debate, especially on social media. Remember, the Gen Zs were demanding rejection of the Finance Bill in its totality, in its entirety.
Yeah.
But now we could see a return, because they're even talking about the eco levy, and they're already talking about it and saying that that is one of those clauses that will make a comeback. It's not the only one. About 48 others could be making a comeback as well. Finally, on the Star, they still talk about members of the cabinet, new CS's baptism by fire. This is a CS nominee for education, and his baptism by fire is a teacher strike which is looming. Yes, they may have that meeting you're talking about, yes, but until that meeting comes and goes.
The 26th of August.
You know, even in Meru, they had so many meetings with the president, with the deputy. Did it really help?
So, wakaambiwa relaxini, lakini bado.
Third impeachment ndio hii. So they could actually meet and not achieve anything. But if they do, it could avert the strike. But as it is right now, next week shule zikifunguliwa, walimu hawako kazini.
Oh, yes.
All right. Well, those are just some of the details and discussions we'll be having with our guests this morning once they get to studio. Big headlines today, the big battle within Azimio, the pending implosion, matters to do with university funding, as well as what's happening with the governor of Meru, KAWIRA with the process going on at the Senate. Do stand by for that conversation and a lot more, including some news updates after the break. You can be part of all this discussion through our social media pages on X at TV47 News and on Facebook, TV47 Kenya.
Oh yes, the business and innovation coming up at, as of around 8 a.m. We'll be discussing the role of children when it comes to the conservation of environment. What do you need to do? Then later on, matters agribusiness. Stick around for that.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane,
wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at some news updates. The Ministry of Health has downplayed the number of existing cases of Mpox in Kenya, declaring that the only known case is one of a 42-year-old male in Taita Taveta who has since fully recovered. This comes after fears emerged of more suspected cases in various parts of the country.
Just 2 days after a viral photo of a 21-year-old woman working at an avocado farm in Kenol, Kiambu County, sparked rumors of an Mpox outbreak, the Ministry of Health has shut down the claim, stating there is no active Mpox case in the country.
We had suspected cases, as has been informed, and the test has been done, so we're waiting for the turnaround time to confirm. But so far, we only have that one case that has recovered.
This comes at a time when surveillance has been heightened in the country following a declaration by the Africa Center for Disease Control, CDC, and the World Health Organization declaring Mpox a continental threat.
We have upped our diagnostic capacity. Remember, the platform used for testing Mpox is the same platform that was used for COVID-19. It's called PCR, polymerase chain reaction. For now, we have dedicated 4 laboratories to be able to do this testing, but we have redundant capacity of more than 100 laboratories if there's need to be able to call for additional laboratory support.
Regarding vaccines to combat the Mpox virus, the Ministry of Health has indicated that Kenya is expecting around 2 million doses, with the high-risk areas first in line.
Africa as a continent, we require 10 million doses of vaccines. We are assured by the Nordic manufacturer of the vaccine that by the end of the year we can be able to have about 2 million doses. But the vaccine will not be for everybody because of the scarcity in terms of the availability of the vaccines.
On Wednesday last week, CDC revealed that a total of 2,863 cases of Mpox have been reported in 2024 in 13 African countries, with 517 fatalities. In Kenya, the strain detected has been linked to the highly infectious strain called Clade 1B, which is mostly spread sexually.
The primary risk in contact with an infected person or contaminated personal items or through sexual contact is the common secondary infection that would occur in our country.
Kenya's first Mpox case was reported on July 31st, 2024 and was swiftly contained. The patient has fully recovered and currently 26 samples are under investigation, with 10 already sent for testing. Results are expected within the next 5 to 14 days. Ann Odida, TV 47.
Businessman Jimi Wanjigi spent the night in police custody after his arrest on Monday after presenting himself for grilling at the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. It is, however, unclear the charges he will face in court this morning. According to those privy to his arrest, detectives are also probing his alleged possession of tear gas canisters at his Muthaiga home in Nairobi.
A series of events unfolded after Jimi Wanjigi presented himself at the regional police headquarters in Nairobi.
Do not order me, do not touch me.
Which quickly escalated from a formal sleuth summon to a muddled showdown.
Have respect. I will go in at my own time.
Faced with grave allegations that he funded the Nane Nane protest and that weapons from a vehicle were discovered at his residence, allegations that Wanjigi has vehemently denied.
They say that they found a car outside my residence. They say they have found a car outside my residence that has got items they want to question me about. I'm waiting to hear what that is about. I am here to face the injustice of a regime that has decided oppression is its way. We are going to hear why they have summoned me, and if you give me a few minutes, I'll be back right here to tell you what they are trying to do.
Hours later, police vehicles emerged from the station in a state of confusion, leaving Wanjigi's lead lawyers led by senior counsel John Kaminywa at crossroads.
One senior investigator just came and said to us that, look, we are taking Wanjigi to court tomorrow and we are putting him in custody. I asked him whether he should not give him bail. He said bail is out. To me, who has been at the law for a long time, what is happening is despicable. That is not the way justice should be administered at all.
Wanjigi had moved to court where he obtained an order stopping his arrest. The court on August 16th extended the order stopping the police from arresting him. Justice Bahati Mwamuye extended the order to September 19th, but at the same time said he could not issue an order stopping any registration of a charge sheet against Wanjigi. The series of events from the Nane Nane protest have led to Jimi Wanjigi being summoned to the DCI regional headquarters, where he will be arraigned in court tomorrow for further hearing. Mazda Nombugu for TV 47.
Meru County Governor KAWIRA Mwangaza yesterday morning dismissed 3 charges brought against her, including gross violation of the Constitution and other laws, gross misconduct and abuse of office. The sponsor of the impeachment, Zipporah Kenywa, in her appearance before the Senate, said that a section of Meru County Assembly members had received threats occasioned by her move to impeach the governor. Mike Agwongo with the details.
Video 7 of the County Assembly transcribed.
For the third time, the embattled Meru Governor KAWIRA Mwangaza was a woman under siege.
The respective secretariats of the said boards.
The Meru County Chief was once again here to tackle serious allegations leveled against her. The Meru County Assembly is hitting Mwangaza with 3 heavy charges, including gross violation of the Constitution and laws, misconduct and abuse of office. They are also slamming her for following her staff to a staggering 111, driving up the wage bill by over 500 million shillings, an outrageous 49% of the county's annual revenue, smashing the 35% limit.
It is the board's considered opinion that your letter dated 8th March 2024 to Ms. Virginia KAWIRA Mireti revoking her appointment as the Secretary/CEO of the Meru County Public Service Board is not legally binding, as the officer is duly appointed as per the existing laws.
Impeachment sponsor Zipporah Kenywa claimed some assembly members faced threats over her move to oust Mwangaza. The MCA continued with her thriller, stating that on the day the motion was discussed, there was an attempt to set fire to the assembly.
The threats were given by some members of the public, and I believe we have some videos. We have some videos that can show that.
Mwangaza's legal team, led by Elias Mutuma, labeled the accusations as a pack of lies and urged the Senate to dismiss the impeachment motion outright.
And when we look at them in the eye and tell them it's a lie, they get bitter. They get mad. They accuse senators of being bribed. They accuse the governor because they want us to believe a lie, because they have themselves created a lie and believed in a lie.
It's a case of making sure that systems clogs to the benefit of few individuals. That is the simplicity of our case, Honorable Governors. We'll present you with evidence, concrete evidence, Honorable Senators.
Tuesday, the embattled governor will get her chance to defend herself before the Senate makes its verdict on whether to stay the impeachment or save her for the third time. Mike Kagwango, TV 47, Nairobi.
The Deputy Governor of Uasin Gishu, Engineer John Barorot, yesterday officially announced his resignation from his post, a position he has held for the past 2 years. This report by Quinto Afula, the move follows a period of speculation about his whereabouts after he missed several important events, including the ceremony to elevate Eldoret City to city status last Thursday.
Monday marked the end of an era of Uasin Gishu Deputy Governor, whom since ascending to the office has had a protracted political battle with his boss. Today at the Eka Hotel in Eldoret, Barorot announced his resignation, stressing it's a strategic move to boost his career after 3 years of public service.
I've weighed between
the current responsibility that I have, together with the ongoing international digital transformation. There is a digital transformation going on globally.
He thanked county residents and called on local leaders to step up and make Eldoret, Kenya's 5th city, thrive even more.
There's still more to be done. We become a city now. I said it here a few weeks ago, and I want to, as we take this challenge of becoming a city, it's not an event.
Engineer John Baroro's resignation comes after months of rumors and visible tensions with county leaders, evidenced by his absence from key functions. In his speech, Barorot denied any feuds, clarifying that their relations remain amicable.
To really get back into the industry that I've been for many, many years. I've enjoyed my being in public service. It's an amazing, it was an amazing journey.
Uasin Gishu Governor Jonathan B., who shared the stage with Barorot, commended his deputy on the new role and promised to announce his replacement as soon as possible.
From September 1st, 2024, I will nominate a replacement within, actually, as soon as we are done. It will not take long.
Quinto Wafula, TV 47.
Now, the Orange Democratic Movement, ODM, has fired back at Azimio leaders, doubting Raila Odinga's loyalty to the coalition. On Monday, ODM chairperson Gladys Wanga slammed those questioning Raila, accusing them of using ODM members appointed to President William Ruto's cabinet. Wanga emphasized that these members have been released and are serving in their own right. The Orange Party made it clear that no one will coerce Raila into endorsing them for the Azimio leadership.
Yes, it's real. Exactly. Yeah. Good afternoon. Yeah. Yeah. This is even better. Asante. Yeah. Such a. Yeah. Quite come. Yeah. 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 Stand next to Rosa there. Yeah. Yeah. Tony, you want to stand next to... We are here as a party to express serious misgivings about utterances by some of our partners in the Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Coalition Party, who have attempted to question the place of ODM and its commitment to playing its role as an opposition party. There is no agreement between ODM and Kenya Kwanza that makes the two joint partners in government. We have no coalition agreement with the Kenya Kwanza government as ODM. In response to a national emergency and the need to steady the nation, ODM agreed to release in their individual capacities the members who have been tapped by the president. These are former deputy party leaders, Ali Hassan Joho, Wycliffe Oparanya, the former national chairman John Badi, and the former secretary for political affairs, Honorable James Opio Wandai, and former member of the National Elections Coordinating Committee, Ms. Beatrice Askul. The party leader has explained, and we reiterate, that these members have not joined the government as representatives of the party, but as individuals whom the president felt have the capacity to add value to his administration and help the country achieve the desired goals. ODM will continue to play its minority role alongside other parties to push for accountability, transparency, equity, and delivery of services to the people in a cost-effective manner.
ODM cannot and shall never be intimidated. We are a party that stands for justice, democracy, and a party that has fought for against the ills committed towards Kenyans for many years.
A tragic road accident yesterday at Konambaya, Mulatiwa, Mount Elgon constituency left one person dead and 3 others receiving treatment at Bungoma Referral Hospital. Residents are now calling for the Interior Ministry to provide a police vehicle to the area. claiming that they had been forced to transport the deceased on a motorcycle due to the lack of a proper transportation. Wanjigi reports.
At Konambaya, along Cheptais Cheskaki Road in Mount Elgon constituents, those who witnessed the horror say that the motorcycle rider lost control and fell into the ditch. The four on board are said to have been headed to Chwele from Cheptais.
Jamaa ni kama ni mgeni huku. Alipokuwa akiteremka na pikipiki yake ni kama ilipata pancha na ilikuwa kwa mteremko na alikuwa kwa hali ya speed. So kwa hiyo hali hiyo ikawarusha kwa mtaro na wakaumia na tukawasaidia wakafika hospitali.
Residents are furious, denouncing the frequent accidents along this perilous stretch. They are now demanding immediate action from authorities to address the crisis.
Watu wengi tumewapoteza hapa Cheskaki kwa hii kona mbaya. Angalia pasi ilianguka ni pale pale tu.
So wacha na wakatengeneza ile barabara kwa sababu watu wanapoteza maisha yao. Watu wanaangamia kwa ile barabara. Mtoto wangu Chaiten alipotezea pale maisha pale penyewe. So imekuwa ni mahali ambapo si mahali pazuri, ni mahali pabaya.
Tunataka irekebishwe, iwekwe straight, watoe hiyo kitu ambayo inaitwa kona mbaya kwa sababu imebadilisha maisha yamekuwa mabaya. Kona mbaya imeua watu. Hatutaki hiyo kona mbaya, tunataka tukue na barabara ambayo iko straight.
They have however complained about lack of a car at the Cheskaki police station, where police officers have to wait for a long time to get a car from the neighboring police station, or they have to use a motorcycle for an emergency.
Boda wanaweza pepa namna gani mtu mwenye amekufa amekatika ili wapeleke kwa zahanati. Tafadhali bwana Kithure Kindiki, tunataka gari kwa police station ya Cheskaki police station. Na pia tunataka ambulance katika hii health center ya Cheskaki.
Kwani sisi tuko Kenya gani? Police station zingine ziko na magari na sisi why? Hata wakishika mwizi lazima waombe gari kutoka Cheptais ndio kuja isaidie.
Wanjigi, TV47, Bungoma.
Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migos Ogamba has confirmed that negotiations are ongoing between the teachers and Teacher Service Commission, hoping to avert a looming strike next week. The CS speaking at Gigiri at the Kenya School of TVET during the World Skills National Competition opening ceremony also declared his support for the university funding model.
Systems. Some of them are in the formal TVET system, some of them are through apprenticeship.
In less than 2 weeks, several new cabinet secretaries have been thrust into challenging situations, and the trend continues.
Been through this afternoon, you've realized that this was a skills competition where we showcase the TVET training of all our students that have come up with a number of programs and projects that they've done.
Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migos Ogamba faced a critical test right away, a teacher strike notice just as the third term was about to begin.
To ensure that each trainee is funded according to their level of need and that no one is deprived access to the tertiary education and training because of his or her.
He also expressed strong support for the new university funding model, which avers his aim to make university education accessible based on financial capability.
This is a new funding model. It is my hope that we can work together to enlighten the public about the model and how it works.
The event highlighted innovative talent and aligned with the bottom-up approach, reflecting the current economic climate and commitment to fostering a brighter future.
Right now we are struggling with youth unemployment. Our rates are quite high, the youth unemployment, especially for 20 to 24 years, and ensure that you earn an income from your innovations. Tutaanguka na nyinyi.
Reporting for TV47, Agnes Jindo.
Yes, you're indeed watching TV47. Time now for a short break. We'll be back with more.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2. What position were you? Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Right, welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV 47 with me, Fred Indimuli. Time for us to take a look at the headlines this morning. Varied headlines. On the front page of the Standard, they go with this headline: Kenya pays 40 billion shillings extra in pipeline construction deal. On the Daily Nation, they go with what's the biggest political discussion: Raila snabs Uhuru talks. That story is also on the front page of the Standard. It also features on the front page of the People Daily. An aspect of it also on the front page of the Star newspaper and on Taifa Leo. And allow me to introduce my panelists, or my guests this morning who are joining us via conference call. Edwin Kigoli, Youth Policy Analyst. Good morning, Sana Edwin, and thank you so much for joining us via phone call.
Very good morning to you.
Also joining us is Silas Akiro, Advocate of the High Court. Wakili, asante sana for having time for us this morning.
I'm very much glad to be with you again today. So, good morning to you and your viewers.
Good morning. So, gentlemen, of course, the political news will definitely be the biggest discussion this morning, and we could start with that. We saw yesterday there were indications that the Azimio chairperson, Azimio La Umoja One Kenya Coalition chairperson, retired President Uhuru Kenyatta, was to host a meeting at 4 p.m. As requested by some of the Azimio affiliate parties. That did not happen, and what we saw is that about 2 hours earlier, at around 1 p.m., the biggest party in that coalition, ODM party, held a media conference led by its new chairperson, Gladys Wanga, and they gave their ultimatum. It was a very strong-worded statement, basically saying that they are both in Azimio coalition, and rightfully so, even as some of their members are in cabinet. Kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo wanasema Kalonzo Musyoka alikuwa amesema Uhuru Kenyatta ameitisha kikao cha Azimio kufanya mabadiliko baada ya ODM kwanza kushirikiana na serikali. But I think the paper that captured it probably the best was the People Daily. It says Azimio turns to Tower of Babel. While Kalonzo Brigade maintains ODM is not in opposition, Raila allies say they can have their cake and eat it. And probably that's the phrase to use. Do you believe, Bwana Kigoli, that ODM is now acting like they're simply having their cake and eating it at the same time?
Thank you, Fred. What is coming into sharp focus right now is the reality that ODM wants to have an extra marital affair, but still convince the wife that I am still loyal to you. That cannot be the case. ODM and Kenya Kwanza have no similarities. Kenya Kwanza is the government. ODM lost the government or lost the elections and as such became the opposition. The dalliance between Kenya Kwanza and ODM through the cabinet slots that were given rubbed Azimio coalition the wrong way, because Azimio saw ODM as failing on the agreement or on the pact they have, because that was an act of going against what they believe in. And Azimio coalition constituent parties did not take that lightly. And ODM says they have no agreement with Kenya Kwanza, but the reality is ODM has given Kenya Kwanza a number of cabinet secretaries and serious members of ODM to that effect. They have John Badi, they have Ali Hassan Joho, they have Oparanya, they have Opiyo Wandayi. These were key members of the Azimio La Umoja coalition party. And what ODM now should agree is that they are in Kenya Kwanza, because when you hear some of the legislators, such as Sam Atandi, they say, we are now in government, so this government is very good. Those kind of utterances confirm that ODM has shifted to government. And therefore, Fred, it will be prudent for ODM to be true to itself. And many people are saying that Raila Odinga's cooperation with William Ruto stopped a change process. And therefore, Raila Odinga should just wholly declare that he's in government, because that is what it is looking like. But these strong-worded statements coming out to say that we are still in Kenya Kwanza, we're still in Azimio La Umoja, it is not true, Fred, because it is insincere. It is a statement of contempt to other Azimio La Umoja constituent parties. And let it be known that Martha Karua has already, as NAC Kenya, has written to Azimio La Umoja indicating her desire to withdraw from the coalition, because she believes the coalition is no longer serving its purpose. And we know how this goes. Look at how Raila Odinga went to work with President Uhuru Kenyatta. He never briefed probably the other coalition members. And this caused a number of rifts within the coalition, which is the same case. And I think Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa, and the rest are feeling betrayed, because maybe this caught them by surprise. And they say, we believe in principles that do not tally with Kenya Kwanza coalition. And therefore, probably Raila Odinga felt between a rock and a hard place, as his bid for AUC is supported by government. And government probably in their discussion said, we hold the key to your AUC bid, and therefore you support us as we continue to strengthen your bid for AUC. And Raila Odinga probably, because he wants that position, thought it wise to cooperate with Kenya Kwanza. But the downside to this is that the larger country now feels Raila has betrayed the cause of Azimio la Umoja, has betrayed the cause for change, has betrayed the principles that govern Azimio la Umoja, which I think when you listen to Raila Odinga's statements of late are more defensive, because he comes out to say Uhuru Kenyatta called me and asked me to go and cooperate with William Ruto. So why did he have to say that? Because he feels the opinion running around the country right now is more of he is a traitor, and the citizens, majority of the citizens, are no longer feeling the trust for him, Fred.
Okay. You use the example of a bad marriage and Silas Akiro. I want us to use the same because it's the same depiction on the cartoon on the Standard this morning. We have a caricature of one of the principals of the Azimio coalition, Eugene Wamalwa, in front of a marriage counseling and family therapist, claiming that our leader has been cheating on us. Shouldn't he leave the union? Yet the commentator says, tell her to simply walk out of the relationship. Wouldn't that be the natural course of action for these disgruntled members of the Azimio coalition, Wakili, that now that they are not comfortable, just like Martha Karua declared intention of her and her party in Kenya exiting the Azimio coalition, that it should be the same for Wiper Party and DAP Kenya, that if it's not working, they should exit the coalition. What is the necessity of them staying there when clearly things are not working out for them?
Fred, I think the analysis depicted in the cartoon is actually on point. What I would say is that it is high time the country graduates from Raila School of Politics. When Raila loses an election, so to say, or rather when somebody takes power, then immediately know that the coalition, if not the party, but the coalition that sponsored him to power, is going to be left orphan in the next few days. We saw that in all the regimes that we've had. His style is that, it looks to me that his style of politics is that when you fail to get it now, try to be part of it. And he's done that through handshakes. He's done that through cooperation. He's done that through very many avenues. This in itself, being that this man, William Ruto, was part of the Pentagon that really gave Kibaki a run for his money in the 2007 elections. This is somebody that many people have always indicated that is the best man that Raila can always work with, is a man that Raila knows in and out. And so it is not, it does not come as a surprise. We knew that at one given point Raila would work with the government. As soon as the protests stalled, you know that things are working behind the curtains. And it was just a matter of time for the same to be exposed. Now, back to the depiction in the cartoon. Well, if a marriage doesn't work, it is stated that people should always walk out. But, however, parties to the marriage are always very cautious not to go with the blame. Remember, Raila's side had already voiced to themselves that they were betrayed the moment President Uhuru Kenyatta handed over power to William Ruto. We had those sentiments from Babu Owino. We had him suggesting what could have been done to be able to shelve power. And so as soon as that was done, we knew that the betrayal drums would be beaten. And that is exactly what took place until this opportunity for the AUC came in. And then we had the Gen Zs. And you see, Raila, normally it's difficult for him to get the system on his back during elections. But you say that he has the people. And so when all these protests were coming up, so many things were going on behind the scenes, bringing so including the president's inner circle, were urging him to bring in the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga to be able to quell the masses. And in exchange for that, they gave him the hope, or they gave him the promise to give him a full support for his AUC chair bid. But Raila always works with the government, and what we can say as at now is that the ODM is in government. Be sure we are not going to see any criticism of this government. We are not going to hear any protests against this government. Whether it goes to the ditch or it goes to the mountains, this government is here not to be corrected, particularly by the ODM side of the Azimio.
Okay.
However, for the rest, I believe they feel like, we should bolt out, but let us not bolt out with blame. So let's appear as if we are calling a meeting, trying to iron out our issues, and then in there we make our statements of exit. As the analyst has rightly stated, Martha Karua is actually on his way out.
Yes.
On her way out, rather.
Yes. Yet when the chairperson of the ODM party issued the statement yesterday, they claimed that there were plans to ouster Raila Odinga from the leadership of Azimio. And one wonders, for a vehicle that has already outlived its usefulness, Bwana Kigoli, what is the necessity of all these machinations, attempts to oust Raila Odinga from Azimio leadership? Do they really need Azimio at this time round? No coalition has lasted beyond one election cycle. Come 2027, the word Azimio might be a forgotten word altogether.
Yes, Fred. The Azimio coalition membership or leadership believe that Raila Odinga can no longer be trusted because he has his allegiance divided. And this is attributed by the allegiance Raila Odinga has decided to donate to William Ruto through the cabinet slots that were issued to ODM. And Kalonzo Musyoka is also projecting himself to, diffuse claims that he's indecisive, he is unreliable, and makes the wrong choices when it matters the most by sticking and remaining faithful to the cause of Azimio la Umoja. And the need to oust Raila Odinga is informed by his divided attention. Is he in Azimio or is he in government? John Mbadi is holding the Treasury docket, a very critical and sensitive docket in any government in the world. So Raila Odinga is, in this regard, is in constant talks with President William Ruto. John Mbadi is probably not serving the government. He's serving Raila Amolo Odinga. And if Raila Amolo Odinga can decide to replace him, he can do that. So this division of attention and division of allegiance is rubbing the Azimio la Umoja the wrong way. Now, Raila Odinga will come out and say, Kenyans can recall me from AUC and run for president. Which presidency? Which Kenyans? These statements are indicating Raila's, I would call dream or lust for power, which I think the alliance with William Ruto is serving him no good. Because when Azimio la Umoja says, we no longer trust him, they are justified. Just as I used the analogy, you cannot continue to have too much engagement with your ex in a relationship. You had a relationship and then you probably dissolved it because of one or two reasons, maybe irreconcilable differences. But along the way, you try to say, let my children go and stay with my ex. in the meantime, because my ex is having a turbulence in their relationship, it means, you see, your spouse cannot trust you on that because you've been together and anything can happen. And you could simply leave your current spouse for your ex because now your ex has a better deal and might serve your interest more. So Azimio la Umoja are right to not trust Raila Odinga. And I think Raila Odinga's stature does not permit certain decisions, such as the decision he took. In any case, Kenyans who are calling out for change in government mannerisms, change in government actions, they wanted to see a government that is responsible, that is obedient to the rule of law, that obeys court orders, a government that is not boosting on the poverty of Kenyans. You know, ministers coming out to show how opulent they are, how they own high-end products, yet they are Kenyans going on hunger. You know, schools that don't have infrastructures, hospitals that don't have drugs, medics that are being paid peanuts, you know, infrastructure that is also wanting. Look at the access roads in rural counties, yet we see governors running around with guzzlers and high-end vehicles, splashing mud and dust to the electorates. And people feel angry, Fred. So the government had put its foot on the gas pedal to show how rich the ministers, the MPs were. An MP carrying millions of shillings going to do a donation. Where do they get that money? If it is hard-earned money, Fred, you do not do that. There must be responsible display of wealth. Okay. But the manner in which the government was doing, it was insulting to Kenyans. It was showing Kenyans, you are poor, we are rich. Yet Kenyans are the ones who elected them. So Azimio la Umoja are justified to call for Raila Odinga's resignation. And Raila Odinga should resign from Azimio and join Ruto full-time, so that he is not in Azimio trying to, bid for the ticket to fly the Azimio flag, and also being with William Ruto and fly the AUC flag. He cannot eat his cake and have it. He must decide to eat the cake and join the other side, or come back from the other side and remain in Azimio. But he cannot have the two sides on equal terms, because the other side will feel a little bit disenfranchised by his dalliance with President William Ruto.
All right. Let's now focus a bit on some of the changes that have been brought about by this new cabinet reconstitution and what next for the cabinet. One of them has been captured there on the cartoon on the Daily Nation, which depicts the now CS for Treasury, John Mbadi, and the various different statements he made over the years. Back in 2022, immediately after the vetting process for the first batch of William Ruto's cabinet nominees, he declared President Ruto's CS nominees were unstable. This is John Mbadi. Later he said, let him have his skunk if he so wishes. Now we have a depiction of him in the same cartoon, present day, standing as a skunk on top of a grave of the Finance Bill 2024. But he says now, as his skunk, I suggest we exhume the finance bill. There is talk about the possible return of quite a number of aspects of the rejected Finance Bill 2024, including the eco levy. Remember, the protesters demanded the rejection of the Finance Bill in totality, in its entirety. Now we're seeing that the CS Treasury, a member of ODM, will now be pushing for the return of some aspects of this. How do you think this will play out, Bwana Silas Akiro? The fact that, one, people are not so happy, even with the inclusion of members of ODM in the government. Now, within no time, a return of some aspects of the rejected finance bill.
Bwana ODM has always played this fiercest opposition and has put all governments on their toes. And so whether or not there is that post for an official opposition, people think that Raila is always the opposition. remember, currently, if you want to know the opposition, then you go for the leader of minority or the minority whip. Those are the leaders of opposition. Actually, Raila holds no portfolio in this current government, and people are getting agitated at the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga for no apparent reason. When it comes to Honorable John Mbadi's statement, I think this is one statement that most Kenyans have misinterpreted, particularly or probably to bring out their disgust at the fact that he's joined government. However, if you carefully internalize and externalize the statement that Honorable John Mbadi made while he was an MP, it simply meant that on the bar of qualification, not cumulatively or holistically, that anybody who works with the Honorable William Ruto, HE, is a skunk. He simply noted that on the bar of competence, on the bar of qualification, on the bar of service delivery, then those cabinet secretaries that were brought to parliament, nominated by the president, were way below the standards. However, since it was politics, that is Mbadi's sentiment, then there was nothing parliament could do. As such, he stated that let us pull out, I think he talked about 60% or 90% of all those who are brought in, or simply hand them over back. As in, yeah, this is what you want, just take it back. But then you saw that Mbadi's sentiments were right, because the larger majority of the then cabinet team was sent home, and there is a replacement currently in position. But then when you talk about exhuming the finance, some aspects of the now estranged Finance Act, or Finance Bill rather, I think that is bound to come. Noting that we have made at this point over and over again, whenever we appear, and no panelist or panelists have failed to make this sentiment, that the finance docket or the treasury docket of this republic is run by external actors. And so the external actors are really keen to see that a few things have been put in place. They are keen to see that the nuts are so much tied for Kenyans to the extent that we Kenyans remain indebted to them. And that is why you hear Honorable Mbadi, particularly on this eco levy, he makes it look so easy to him that it is not so bad. It is also somehow good. You see, the same problem that Ndungu had is the same problem Mbadi is going to have if he's not careful. Because Kenyans are very, very categorical about the finance bill or the aspects of the finance bill that they want. And should the finance bill that has already been rested in peace be exhumed, then it means that even the process of resting it will be exhumed. And so the government really needs to be very careful and very, very alarmed and high alert in terms of how they exhume this finance bill. I think the head should be left resting. They can take maybe toes, a few things that weren't not so bad for the public. Okay. Yes, Fred.
But the executive and treasurer will be buoyed by the numbers in parliament right now with this working relationship between UDA and ODM, or rather Kenya Kwanza and ODM. Edwin, with the numbers in parliament by ODM and now the fact that they're controlling both the minority seat, minority whip and minority leader seat, it means very easily those numbers can be marshaled towards supporting government. And if at all the person who's pushing this policy is one of their own, a former party chairman, John Mbadi, then many members of ODM will not hold back but support such proposals. Do you think it will be much easier for the executive this time round when pushing the finance bill through? Edwin?
Of course, yes, Fred. this will be very easier because now it is expected that ODM membership in the National Assembly and also in the Senate are in tow or even in tune with the government agenda. And when it is John Mbadi bringing it, it is more appealing or palatable to the ODM membership. And this is automatic to majority of the of the Kenya Kwanza coalition membership in both houses. So what William Ruto has scored is the fact that he has enhanced support in the National Assembly, which is very key to any president to get their agenda done. But then, exhuming this finance bill 2024 that brought so much hue and cry and blood was shed on this bill. We have people nursing terminal injuries in the country right now as a result of police brutality because of the finance bill. I think government is never out of options when it comes to this bill. But then in the courts of law, the judiciary has declared unconstitutional, null and void the finance bill that has been in force before this finance bill. Meaning, if the government has to go back, it has to really go much deeper than 2023-4 finance bill, which Fred exposes one aspect. It's not just about the numbers in the National Assembly, but adherence to the rules and procedure to passing these important pieces of legislation that enable a country to run financially. When a government does not listen, when a government does what it thinks and deems right, even without necessarily considering what the people are saying or even sincerely going back to the people, these are the consequences. And most of the times, this government has been accused of, ignoring what the citizens feel, ignoring what the country's mood is, and doing what they think is right. And the consequences are here. The courts have been slapping them with court orders left, right, center, not because the judiciary hates the government, but the government seems to not follow the law and the procedure as stipulated by the law, which has one fate. The fate it suffers of getting injunctions every now and then. And this will halt and hurt the operations because now, even if they have the majority in both houses, there is also the law and the rules to be followed. If they don't follow that with their majority, the courts will stop their processes and plans. And they will turn guns on the judiciary and say judiciary is now a threat to national development. But the real threat is the government itself. Because a government that has an attorney general, a government that has all the leaders, say, in the National Assembly and the Senate, and all the cabinet secretaries and their principal secretaries, they should be able to flag the legal fragilities that must be adhered to in order to not fracture the government agenda. But it depends. The president might not be listening and going by his own counsel, which in turn affects government delivery agenda. So if the president listens to counsel, some of these things would not be happening. If the president is advised properly and takes the advice, we shouldn't be where we are right now. Look at the leadership of President Kibaki, the left president. You see, you can draw inferences between President Kibaki's leadership, President Uhuru Kenyatta's leadership, President now William Ruto's leadership. And the court injunctions became real and more during President Uhuru's presidency. And this was attributed to his government failing to obey court orders. His government was on the front foot of disobeying court orders, vilifying the judiciary, and finding ways in which or on which to intimidate the judiciary. President William Ruto came with a tone of, we want to respect the judiciary, we want to give them the space, we want to give them funding. But then, down the road, when the judiciary started to issue injunctions, there was a sudden change of tune. Your principles should not be dictated by how well the environment and situation serves you, but on the justness over cost. So these numbers in the National Assemblies, if utilized well, it can help to further development of this country. But if they are misused to serve political expediency, which we suspect is going to be the case, they will run into problems with the citizens and now with the courts as well. So the government should, in fact, they should just leave alone this Finance Bill 2024. This is the bone of contention. And we see on social media now the youth again beginning to come up and saying, Occupy Season 2 and all that. So this does not reflect well on the country's attraction to foreign direct investment. It does not reflect well to tourism. And this means that foreign direct investment that was to come to this country and get more people employed and more revenue to government and help develop this country is going to put on hold because nobody will invest their money, whether FDI or local investors, when a country is in a state of insecurity or there are these political upheavals. So it is something the government needs to look at very keenly when they balancing their acts.
Thank you, Kigoli, for that. And of course, President William Ruto has come out and asked members of parliament publicly that he expects their support when passing the finance bill or some aspects that will go the same way that the finance bill 2024 was going. Let's stay with parliament for a while now and take a look at something else that has come to the attention of parliamentarians. It features on the front page of the Daily Nation as well, one of the big headlines there, and it has to do with the new university funding model that has caused a lot of hue and cry. On the Daily Nation, they asked the question, university for the rich, students slapped with hefty fees. The story is extensively covered on the back page, and they give some of the woes that many people are facing. Now we are seeing on the Standard, they say that lawmakers will meet today over varsity funding model. The story is on page 2. And they say the National Assembly is expected to hold a kamukunji today to seek clarification on numerous queries that have emerged over the new university funding model. Now, Parliament is supposed to add value and quality to the kind of debate or kind of government policies that we see, especially on key sectors like education. The debate on this university funding model has existed for the last 2-3 years now. It seems not to be working. Stakeholders are saying it's not working. Students are saying the same. Yet the government, including the new Cabinet Secretary for Education, says they will have to stick with that. Is the government listening, Wakili Silas Akiro? And do you think that Parliament or the National Assembly is in a unique position to actually offer leadership on this matter?
Mr. Fred, you see, when it comes to these matters that requires expertise, knowledge, we really are very low in handling them because our parliament is simply based on who can offer a lot of handouts to the electorate to have their way. And so when it comes to vetting issues, very few have got the knowledge to handle some of these things. So when we look at Parliament being at a position to offer some of their expertise on matters education, I'd really not vouch for that. However, if because when you look at even the acts of Parliament, rarely would you find an act of Parliament that has been crafted, done, and concluded by a parliamentarian. These are usually sponsored bills. Somebody sits down, or the people sit down, and they do the bill, draft the bill, and then they give it to a specific member of parliament. So it is difficult to find an individual member of parliament sitting down to do a bill. Actually, if you meet them at random and ask them about the bill drafting processes or elements, they would not know. So when it comes to matters that need technocrats to really jog their minds on, Parliament is the least place to offer their expertise. However, in terms of oversight, how everything is going to work, they are good at it. We can give them a thumbs up. But back to this Honorable Ringera's model, the MTI, because the measuring testing instruments, where he categorizes people into different levels or funding levels, where he says the rich will get more loans but fewer scholarships, and the poor will get more scholarships with fewer loans. To me, I would think the model is quite good if properly implemented. I doubt if it would really bring in a loophole. However, we have always known that the rich in our country have got the muscle. They have got the shots to call to get whatever they want. We would think that, all the scholarships are going to go to the poor, but then you find that it is the rich benefiting from the scholarships, and then you're told the scholarships bit is done. We can only now handle the loans, which will now remain to the poor. By this, I doubt if Parliament can offer the best expertise if there is no independent technocrat to go through the entire funding model and then advise Parliament.
Okay. But Bwana Kigola, as a youth policy analyst, you've heard about how young students are being disenfranchised, especially those from poor backgrounds, who had hoped that their brilliant or good performances at the secondary school level would guarantee them the choice degree courses that they wished for. Now, they have found themselves that the game has changed, that where previously they would have paid something much less, now, because of the categorization that Bwana Silas Akiro has talked about, they find themselves being categorized as probably band 5 that needs the least assistance. They are not clear of how they ended up in that classification, and now they're required to pay a lot more. It may be easy for those from a richer or better off background, but for poor students, they are at a risk of losing out, don't you think?
Yes, Fred. The country, first of all, doesn't have a clear system that would distinguish between a well-to-do family and a family coming from a humble background. Say a country like United States, it is easier to tell this is a family of middle income status, this is a family of the rich, and therefore the transition, especially to benefiting from government services, is very clear and defined. You will remember, Fred, that when there was the cash transfer program during the COVID, there are people who are well-to-do and were receiving that cash transfer that was meant to cushion the vulnerable in the community. This tells you either there were unscrupulous people who were convoluting the system and paying the monies to them, which exposes fragilities in the system, or we did not have a proper framework on identifying who actually deserves this kind of support. And the same case is going to this new funding model. Yes, it is a good model, but the issue is, did it exhaust public participation? Did it come as a result of, say, a flagship program where a research was done and supported the cause to have the university funding model changed, or just people sat somewhere and decided to change the whole system? Look, some of these changes have an effect, and as such, they need proper deliberation, proper expert input into it so that a well-informed decision is reached. We need to see key stakeholders being involved in the university funding model shift so that universities have their say, experts come on, education experts come and say, this model is likely to result into this. So right now, there are many students out there who are locked out on benefiting effectively as HELB was, traditionally doing, which exposes that not proper public participation was conducted. This change was not informed by research. This shift probably is just that the government felt, let us change this model and the model changed. Now, the challenges are here with us. So, and that's what I was saying. The government should allow the citizens to participate in the change-making process. The government should value the opinion and the advice of experts and key stakeholders in moving change. Fred, if you allow me a little latitude, the issue of housing, like the issue of housing, levy, tax, or around there, this matter also, probably some people sat somewhere and said, let us make this a housing fund. Or when it received backlash, they say, let us make it a housing levy. Now, because citizens have refused it, let us now make it a housing tax. So, you see, this tells you the matter did not have proper input of key stakeholders. The matter did not exhaust public participation. And that's why it was shifting from tax to levy to fund. So where is it? If government can do proper research and involve the key stakeholders and come up with a position that is supported by many, there would not be backlash. We have backlash in the funding model because key stakeholders probably their opinion was disregarded or was never sought properly, and students were not involved in this process. That's why it is also bringing back this backlash. But government can still get it right. We are not time-barred, so there is still time for change, and government should listen more. The challenge, I think, that has been exhibited by this government is they don't listen. They do what they think is right, and when it is flashed back at them, now they'll start to blame and say this and that. They are against our progress, but yet you're not following the law. You're disregarding opinion, expert opinion that would help you run the government effectively. So the government should listen. The government should be easy to act. This government is not easy to act. This government can do better. It has not run out of capacity. So it should listen to the cries of these students. You find a student coming from a very humble background, but missing out on being sponsored to the university. You see, some of them are like the hope of their families. If they miss out on this funding model, it means that family's hope is diminished because now they are not able to get that chance at the university to refine their skills, to make their lives better, to get knowledge, to get exposure, and be better in terms of, innovation, creativity, entrepreneurship that would help this country move forward on all aspects, be it in leadership, economy, and social. Fred.
All right. Thank you so much, Edwin, for that. And according to the headlines, the National Assembly is expected to hold a kamukunji today to seek clarification on numerous queries that have emerged over the new university funding model. Meanwhile, universities have already started releasing new letters to all the first batch of over 125,000 students. And under the student-centered funding model, students are required to contribute a portion of their tuition fees. This is definitely a conversation that continues. As we come to the end of this conversation, we'd like to focus a little bit on matters devolution. Of course, there's a big story happening currently at the Senate, the ongoing impeachment process of Governor for Meru County, KAWIRA Mwangaza. Today being the second day, Governor KAWIRA Mwangaza is expected to present her defense before the senators. But Bwana Wakili Silas Akiro, even away from the process at the Senate, this is something that has happened, 3 impeachments within impeachment processes within a span of 2 years. We still have 3 more years to go before the 2027 elections. It looks more or less like the County Assembly of Meru, if at all Governor KAWIRA Mwangaza survives, they will still go for the same. Do you think it's time we do something different, probably invoke Article 192? And go for dissolution of the county? Bwana Akiro.
Well, Fred, I think that is also an option on the table for the people of Meru County. However, as we say that impeachment of governors since devolution started in 2010 could be in the DNA of the people of Meru, because they have done more impeachment than any other county in the republic. This could be a menace that requires more of public awareness, more of public education, more of enlightenment. Because just like in the national government, when we feel we have no confidence in the regime, we wish to have them clear their term, and then we sort some of these things out at the ballot. But I think for the governors, being that it is a smaller kind of administrative locality or regime, and so it is not difficult to deal with them, with their issues as they come. However, with more impeachment, it means lesser and lesser service delivery, and the county grows more and more poorer, and so that's why I was saying the people of Meru need to be much more enlightened. That if you do 1-2 impeachments and they fail, you now need to live with the devil you know, as you wait for the angel you don't know, maybe at the ballot. However, invoking the dissolution of the county government is something the Constitution anticipated or contemplated. But will that really be the solution for the people of Meru? Fred, honestly, I doubt. That won't be the solution for the people of Meru. The people of Meru are known to be impeachers. When we dissolve Honorable KAWIRA Mwangaza's government and a new government is put into place, remember right now, it is even going to be costlier, because Meru County would live maybe under a caretaker government, because the IEBC is yet to be reconstituted. We have so many by-elections to be undertaken which are yet to be done. And Meru is likely to fall under the same category of waiting for the IEBC to be able to conduct elections for the devolved government in Meru. But, when they dissolve the county government and put up a new government, they're still going to see the same story. So the Merians really need to be well enlightened, educated in terms of how to look at some of the goods that this person comes with and look at the bad they come with. If it is extremely bad, because if I look at the issue they're raising about Honorable KAWIRA Mwangaza, it is everywhere in all other counties. It is everywhere. The issues they're raising are everywhere. But largely, the things that they're not telling us that the Honorable Governor is a woman. That is what they are not trying to tell us.
Okay.
But that is the driving factor.
All right.
Yes, Fred.
Okay, but Akigoli, even as you comment on what's happening at the Senate with the Governor KAWIRA Mwangaza, there's an opportunity to relook at the laws governing or pieces of legislation governing our devolved units. And I'm saying this because yesterday we saw Deputy Governor of the County of Uasin Gishu, Engineer Barorot, tender his resignation from that position. And it's been said that in recent months, the relationship between the Deputy Governor and the Governor of Uasin Gishu County was not the best. And even the Deputy Governor was not present when Eldoret town was being elevated into a city, a ceremony that was presided over by the President himself. This relationship or strained relationships between the county leadership, the Governor and his deputy, has continued to affect so many different counties, including Meru, and which is part of the problem that has led to KAWIRA Mwangaza being before the Senate as well this time round. Don't you think that 14 years after promulgation of this constitution, it is high time we relook at some of those laws governing the devolved units?
Yes, Fred. One, first of all, even before we look at the issue of relooking at the laws governing devolved units, we need to look at how sensitized are deputy governors to their position before they assume office. Do they imagine a position where they are so powerful and they have a greater influence on running the county, or they know they are principal assistants to the governor, where they serve at the behest of the governor? The same case goes to the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. The position is a principal assistant to the president, and they do not have as much function, but as the president may assign. So it is important for deputy governors to know that they assist the governors. And also the governors should be gracious enough to know that this is my deputy and we can work together because we were elected on a joint ticket. The governor cannot sack the deputy as the president cannot sack the deputy. So it is important for those running for those positions to be sensitized to know that you will not be expected to do much, but the much you will do will depend on how the governor will assign functions. Probably the governor could be gracious and assign, say, a portfolio to the deputy to keep them busy. But you see, when they are idle and reading newspapers and running around the county, it makes them feel, for what reason was I being elected? And also they have ambitions. So they want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be felt. So it is important also we look at the laws so that maybe they are given a portfolio or so that they are not feeling like they are alone, isolated, and the governors are leaving them out. But yet, Fred, there is the aspect of proper management of county resources, which most counties have been misusing public resources meant for development, going into other entities that do not help the county too much. And these issues can be addressed well when the law is made watertight and the county government functions properly. Lastly, I think it is important that there is a regulation on how governors are impeached. MCAs can just wake up one day, make out frivolous accusations and impeach a governor. You see what is happening in Meru County Assembly could be attributed to a number of factors, including chauvinism. I think Governor KAWIRA Mwangaza's victory caught most as a surprise. In fact, Kiraitu Murungi has never lost elections, but he was beaten by a woman and running on an independent ticket. So probably most of these chauvinistic male elements in Meru County are not believing that KAWIRA Mwangaza was able to beat them. So they are coming out of QL County Assembly to revolt against her and to impeach her. I think Martin Wambora was impeached many times and survived as many times as he was impeached. But then KAWIRA Mwangaza might have her own, challenges, but I think they can find a way of living together. In fact, the marriage is about 3 years to end, the contract to the people. So they should try to tolerate each other. The MCAs have their own shortfalls, so they should accept KAWIRA Mwangaza and give her a chance to serve the people of Meru. This fighting will not bring development. This fighting cannot help the county. It will stagnate the county's development agenda because also the governor has power to release monies to the county ward kitty. So if this is the trend, she could also decide to use the law to her advantage and release it at such a time that the MCAs cannot benefit and the money will be rolled back to the national treasury. So you'll find the MCAs are losing out, the governor is losing out because of the infights within the county. So we need to regulate how governors are impeached. The period of after 6 months, then an impeachment motion can be brought up again is not sufficient, Fred. It is very difficult to recall a member of parliament. It is very difficult to impeach a sitting president. Why is it a matter of a dream to impeach a governor? You just dream, wake up, I dreamt the governor was being impeached, and the motion is set, the county assembly passes it and transmits it to Senate. I think the Senate should always stand out for truth and justice when such matters come to its attention. And it will be helping the county government units to manage their affairs properly. And if these matters of impeachments come up, the Senate will be able to regulate. So that if it comes more than 2 times, it means there is a serious dysfunction at that county assembly, and the entire county assembly should be dissolved so that now people seek a fresh mandate. Maybe that clause could be important to regulate how barbaric the MCAs can be, and they realize that if you also become too much, it will also have a bearing on you. Everybody goes home and they seek fresh mandate, and the people decide on the new set of leadership. Right.
All right. Thank you so much, Edwin Kigoli, youth policy analyst, and Silas Akiro, advocate of the High Court. Our guest this morning, as we discuss the big headlines today, of course, the implosion within the Azimio coalition, one of the biggest stories, the university funding model, as well as what's happening with our devolved units with the ongoing impeachment process for Governor KAWIRA Mwangaza before the Senate. Thank you so much, Silas and Edwin, for your time at TV47. A lot more coming up after the break on this Morning Cafe. Many discussions with my colleague, Stanley Nyaringita. Do stand by for that. My name is Fred Indimuli. Good morning.